I think the bigger ones, they go under because they either become lazy, arrogant, or both. Hey everybody, I wanted to introduce Sebastian Ness. He's the CEO of SureLeverage Funding. Him and I had dinner the other night, and we figured maybe we sit down and have a conversation.
Yeah, definitely. It's rare to see. We went on actually a Twitter Spaces together, and kind of have like a lot of commonalities between, I guess, the values that we both have for firms and whatnot for our firms. Yeah, and so it's pretty rare to see in the industry that we have, you know, people that actually want success for traders, want to run a successful, good business, you know, sustainable business. So, yeah, it's nice to see. So it's a good thing that we're on this podcast together today.
So, like, you know, I got recruited in to help scale things at TopTier. How did you get into the space, and, you know, what got you interested in it?
Yeah, I was in the brokerage space for a little bit, traded myself a little bit too. So I've always had like kind of an eye on this space. Looking at like some of the other, like, you know, bigger companies that we used to have, you know, a couple of years ago, I thought that they used to run things like really well. So obviously, like, you know, kind of an inspiration looking at bigger firms, even such as yourself, such as TopTier, looking at bigger firms as an inspiration to like how to better myself and better my firm, you know. And that, you know, as you said yesterday, like we met for supper yesterday, and you know, you said that, you know, healthy competition is good. It wants us to improve in all aspects. You know, we want to improve because, you know, somebody else is improving, and not necessarily just cutting each other on prices and, you know, making these unsustainable rules, but just bettering ourselves, bettering our technology, bettering, you know, customer service. All these kind of things is what helps with this healthy competition, you know.
Well, I think you were a trader yourself, and, well, you know, a long time ago I did a little bit of stock trading. I'm not a trader by background, but because the guys who started up TopTier, Jamal Hollingsworth, and obviously Q Banks and Anthony Williams, were really successful traders, they're like my North Star. And I think that's generally been my experience. The firms that were either started by traders or being run by traders, they know what it's like to be on the other side of it.
100%.
And they're like, I'm not going to screw, that used to be me.
100%. 100%. Yeah, definitely. That's exactly it. So like, you kind of see yourself in a lot of these people also, that like, you know, you see these kind of traders that like, even if they're having like a bad streak, you kind of see yourself in it, and like you want to help them. And so there's a lot of things that like you want to do, like let's say, or you guys, you know, you guys are doing education coming up soon.
Yep.
We could talk about that.
Yeah. So, yeah, TopTier Academy, we're gonna be doing a soft launch probably later in May, getting the, you know, the last kinks out of the content and so forth, getting feedback from the first people we put through the program, and do like an official full launch in June. But what we're trying to do it. You know, it's funny. I was talking to some of the folks on the team yesterday. Some of the firms, they seem like they're worried that, you know, they're going to make everyone such great traders that they're going to get cleaned out, and it's just not the case, right? And it's unfortunate, but, you know, it's just the rules of everything, not just trading, that a small percentage of people are going to be disciplined and consistent and have the, you know, and stick with it long enough to ultimately be successful, that, you know, people's complacency and laziness takes care of the business model. At the end of the day, if I do right by the traders, really do our level best to help them become better traders and give them a growth path. I mean, we're sort of working on a sort of an updated business plan where we're trying to have like what I'll call a cradle to grave offering, where we start with TopTier Academy, where you don't even know how to spell PIP.
Sure.
And then we take you into, you know, our regular, you know, TopTier trader platform, regular prop trading. But ultimately, I think we are looking to add a model where we do, you know, back and copy all the traders with a much stricter set of rules, because ultimately what we're trying to get to is, you know, take those people who are new or novice or any less experienced traders and help them so that, and it might take some folks that are super smart and disciplined and, you know, and so forth, maybe they get there in 6 months. Some people, I mean, Q and Anthony told me 2.5, 3 years before they were really, you know, getting a lot of success. And so you got to stay with it. But we want to give people a path where when they're done, they could, if they wanted to, trade with their own capital and a live account and be successful.
Yeah. And it's surprising how many people are actually like good and disciplined like at trading when you look at all the numbers that like, we look at in our back end. And like there's actually a lot of people that are, good. They get payouts like, every single month, for months in a row. So there is really a lot of people that are, disciplined and good traders. And if you stick with it, I mean, Q and Anthony, perfect example of it. You stick with it, a lot of good things could come from it. Definitely. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting because Jamal Hollingsworth, who I mentioned before, he's actually still technically president of TopTier, but he tells me that the reason he trades with virtual capital in prop trading instead of a live account, it's not that he couldn't. He absolutely could.
Sure.
Wealthy guy, really good trader, but he's like, look, he goes, for me, it helps on the psychology.
Yep.
He's like, I know that. He's like, every now and then I'm going to blow my account, right? Every 3-4 months, I've usually got 2 or 3 funded accounts.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, look, I can make a good amount in payouts, consistently every single month. But my downside is controlled. So I've got my downside absolutely controlled. And for me, it helps me be a better trader. When I'm trading with live funds, harder for me to manage my psychology.
100%. I believe that like our rules make traders actually disciplined and better traders. Like, I feel like there's definitely payouts that we do that if we didn't have those rules in place, such as, the drawdown, the daily drawdown and whatnot, these traders would probably go full margin and blow their accounts on their live account. But we're there to kind of give that guidance. They know exactly what limits they have to work within. And after they really follow those guidance, which is what keeps them disciplined, At the end of the day, like a journal or anything like that, the goal of it is to like, obviously journal and see what you made mistakes on and whatnot, but also to keep you disciplined, which we're kind of doing the same thing, keeping traders disciplined, keeping them on the right path and really giving them a stepping stone. And people don't even realize how valuable it is for us eventually to have good traders also. I mean, the data is super valuable, just being able to give real funds to one of these traders. It's like a cash printing machine, you get really good traders on it and you could just copy their trades, give them real funds, book them. And it's like a really long-term business model. And I'm sure you guys have a lot of really good traders that you're like, let's put some capital behind this guy, So
I think the challenge is that, it's probably one of the hardest things just from a perception standpoint because and I think it's because there's so many entrants in the market. Mm-hmm. A lot of them are, scammy. It's a little bit of a race to the bottom. Oh my God, we're charging $20 for an account, like the crazy stuff, right? And we're 80% discounts on our purchases. Right. When you have that kind of stuff, those businesses aren't really sustainable. But because they kind of muddy the waters, and then when you have a regular, normal set of rules that, like you said, are trying to help people be more disciplined and consistent traders, like, oh, you're just trying to make it so that I don't get a payout. And it's like, no, that's not it at all. It's the goal is, we're trying to have rules so that those are the same things you would do, at least similar, maybe not quite as tight to begin with as you'd have in a live account. And, if you're getting a 120K payout on a 100K account,
there's a problem.
There's something wrong. Yeah, that's not a normal thing. You would never do that in a live account. So, it's like, I think that people are, that's the one thing that we do it in our Discord community and we try to do in our communications, but it's hard because it's hard to persuade them that, no, we really do have your best interest in mind.
100%.
We are trying to make you better, but we can't do it without your help.
100%. I see gamblers lose way more than I see the consistent traders lose. I mean, you're let's say you're trading, one lot, 2 lots on a 100K account and you're being, super consistent and, doing your right stop loss, take profit, trading like how you're actually supposed to trade as opposed to just going, 100 lots long on gold and expecting to get a, $1 trillion payout. I see oftentimes those gamblers, they don't even win. They just lose. And so what's the point? You're just invested into an account just to gamble and lose your money. Might as well trade discipline. Why everybody that's doing, who is trading wants that long-term consistent goal, but then they get so distracted by, a lot of things, or they get distracted by like Lamborghinis on Instagram and whatnot. But people don't realize that didn't happen overnight. Like these people are not getting all this money and has all these nice cars and taking care of their mothers and whatnot because they went, long on gold for 100 lots. That's not why. They're doing it consistent. They're profitable long term, and you can make a really good truly a good business out of it, out of just trading.
Yeah, we've tried to. We've been trying to really really highlight those traders. It's the stay-at-home mom that's paying her rent or her mortgage with her monthly
Sure.
trading winnings, or the person who's helping put their kid through college or whatever it might be. I'm not a big fan of college these days, but but ultimately, there are a lot of people that whatever is important to them, and ultimately that's what motivates people, right? It's like everyone's a little bit different, and trying to what was one of the things that surprised me when I came into the market, because it wasn't a market that I was familiar with, it wasn't an industry that I knew, and I was surprised that I remember I went to the FX Summit last year, and I'm expecting to see people in khakis and button-down shirts and pocket protectors, and I see guys with face tattoos and face piercings and sleeves and everything else, and it was just completely different from what I was looking at. A lot of these folks, really smart folks, but not formally educated.
Sure.
And I was like, wow, it's look, if you want to be an engineer and build bridges, you got to go to college. Definitely. You want to be a brain surgeon, you got to go to medical school.
Right.
But going to get your women's studies degree and spending 150 grand, maybe not the best use of
No, 1,000,000%. It's impressive to see, and it's impressive to see like even different countries, such as like we have a very big Nigerian community, like at SLF, and it's impressive to see like some of these traders. They're like, let's say they buy a 25K account. It's a lot of money, in Nigerian. So, and then they get a payout and they completely change their life, and it's like, it's not like, it's not like here in America where like, maybe a, $4,000 or $5,000 payout won't change your life probably, but they like completely change their life. Their mental state completely changes. And now they see how big the opportunity could really be with trading, it's really impressive to see. I'm always like, people always say, like, oh, the prop firms don't want you to get payouts. That's not true. We just don't want to pay out cheaters. Right. We don't want to pay out somebody who's, who's got a top tier account and a SureLeverage account, and then they're going against each other, Right. That doesn't make sense. We don't want to pay cheaters. And if we, we talked about this quite a few times, but if we got rid of cheaters in the entire industry, right, with all the firms, payouts would never be an issue. Yeah. It would never be an issue. Not that it is. I mean, we've got pretty good systems in place to catch cheaters. You guys for sure do. So, cheaters don't come to us. Go to other firms, please. But you're just going to lose your money. But yeah, so definitely like we like paying people. We like paying people that deserve it. We want, that consistent guy that's going to make, whatever. Yeah. A certain percentage on his account every single month. And
well, the Nigerian story is an interesting one too, because, you think about any country where, I know Argentina's gotten a lot better with their more recent president, but, when you have super hyperinflation, the fact that you can buy in crypto and get paid out in crypto and not have to deal with any of that inflationary aspect at all is huge. And, places like that, it's really hard to get access to capital. Mm-hmm. You have situations where, some of the stuff going on in Canada, here in the U.S. too, like, the political environments are so crazy. There's so much control, and it's cool that there's an opportunity to be able to help serve people that they don't have the same opportunities, as you have in a lot of the Western countries, and people that get formal education. Mm-hmm. It's funny. If I were growing up today, I would have never gone to college. Not in a million years. I tried to talk my daughter out of it. I'm like, look, I'll give you the money, that we were going to spend on your education. I think it's, instead of getting a degree in psychology or whatever. But it worked out fine for her. But ultimately, it's a bad ROI. Unless you're doing something that genuinely requires, like being an engineer to build 100%. A bridge. Unless you need something like that. The ROI there is horrible, especially here in the U.S.
It is. And even like starting your own business or, starting trading business, just trading in general, like the things that you'll learn in it about, first of all, yourself, your discipline, how many things you could actually like improve in your life that you won't actually learn in college, how to manage your taxes, you're getting a payout, you're doing all these things. You start learning about like, the cryptocurrency network, because a lot of people like to get with their withdrawals there. You start learning about so many things that is just outside of the trading bubble. That it actually is, in my opinion, at least definitely better than college. That's for sure.
Well, it's funny you say that, because like that's part of what we've been thinking about with TopTier Academy. Like it really is like there's even things like basic things like supply and demand. How nice would it be if our our politicians understood supply and demand.
It would be great.
It would be great, right? It's like none of them have ever taken an econ course, it seems like. But it's like really just understanding the basics of money management, the psychology of money, so many things that even if you were only trading for 6 months, the things you would learn just building your talent stack, super useful in whatever you decide to do.
Huge.
The reality is, Q and Anthony, Jamal, Nick, well, yeah, they were traders and they did well at trading. Now they're entrepreneurs. They still trade. But now they're entrepreneurs and they've started all these businesses, and they learned those skills largely from the things they learned from being a trader.
100%. Yeah. If they didn't have all these skills that they learned with being a trader, and I don't think they went to college, I'm assuming, no.
No, Nick did.
Nick. Okay.
And Jamal too. Okay. But ultimately, and I think either Q or Anthony did, but I don't think I went to college. But at the end of the day, that's not where they learned anything. In fact, I went to really good schools.
Sure.
And at the end of the day, I learned almost nothing that is actually useful. I had a computer science degree, but the technologies I was learning on were like 5 years behind what was in the marketplace. It's like, I would say half to 2/3 of the tech people I've hired over the last 10 years are self-taught. They didn't go to college. They didn't get, their computer science degree from Caltech or MIT. They're self-taught, and they tend to be, they're self-driven, they're self-motivated, they're self-starters. Those are the people I want.
Yeah.
As opposed to the person who, let's be honest, most people go to college, it's 4 years of getting drunk. And then they go back to business school, and then it's 2 more years of getting drunk.
It's the party, so you're paying whatever. I don't know how much it is, but $150,000 a semester or whatever with room and board to party.
Yeah.
When
I was
nuts.
I didn't drink alcohol till I was in my mid-30s, so I was sober in college and in business school, but I was the exception.
Right.
And I had a bunch of part-time jobs when I was in school, but I was, like I said, most of the people they were drunk most of college and business school, and that's even at the good schools.
Think about how much you've learned just being the CEO of TopTier, being the CEO of a prop firm, compared to what you actually learned in university or college.
Honestly, like I my business school degree was in entrepreneurship, and I had, I think, of over 2 years and maybe 20 professors. One was actually an entrepreneur, and was the only one that taught me anything of value.
Really?
All the other ones, it's all theory, and until you've had to make payroll, and understand.
Right.
Like I remember my daughter, I think she became a Republican the day she got her first paycheck. And she's, what's this FICA thing that's taking all my money?
Right. Why is my paycheck half?
Right.
Yeah, exactly. No, I totally, I understand that. Yeah, definitely. Coming from Canada too, it was, taxes are pretty hefty. So.
Yeah, well, you don't want to be a trucker in Canada either, right?
No, you definitely don't. You definitely don't. You want to stay away from that. You get your bank account frozen.
So tell me where you guys are when we were talking the other night, you were talking about some of the stuff you guys were doing with your own tech. Yep. Like, where are you trying to take your business?
Where am I trying to take my business? Honestly, I want to create, first of all, what I think is really huge for us is I want to create a community where people will help each other out and, give each other tips without, just help each other out, foster a really big community where everybody's helping each other. Everybody is, I know somebody, loses their account, then somebody will come in right away and say, hey, listen, let me help you out. Let's go through this. Let's see what you missed on. Were you trading during news? I don't know, whatever, just helping each other out. Building a really big community is the main goal, definitely. And I would say, with our own tech and whatnot, I don't know, we're not really too deep on it yet. But yeah, I think having our own tech is going to help with risk management, taking care of, all the cheaters and whatnot, being able to identify when somebody is, a lot of times there's, as you said, there's rules in certain firms that have, let's say they say, no news trading, but then it'll let you open a position during news trading. Right. So then after that somehow is your fault, which it probably is. You probably should not be trading during news, but having a tech that can actually identify that and, shut down your position as soon as or not even let you open a position during those certain hours. That's pretty cool. I don't know. We're looking into a lot of things. This not really something that I'm too focused on right now. I really just want to focus on the growth of the actual business first.
Right.
Building something that's really cool for people, that people could just come, get funded, get reliable payouts, be consistent, and, that's about it.
The community is an interesting aspect, right? Because I was a wrestler in college, which is an individual sport, obviously.
Sure.
And, you know, but I also played some team sports when I was back in high school, and they teach you different things. But trading is an individual sport, no doubt about it. So, but trying to have some kind of community wrapped around it, that shared struggle. And, you know, one of the things we're thinking about is doing like a Twitch for traders.
That's pretty cool. I like that.
Trying to build something into that where, hey, I could, you know, watch someone's live trading session. Hey, why did you pick that entry point? You know, walk me through what you were thinking. And, you know, oh, hey, I'm thinking about exiting this position. I just saw this, you know, this pattern, whatever it might be. Like trying to use that as a way to get people to be smarter, 100%. Learn faster, come up the curve a little bit quicker.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, actually. I like that idea. That's really cool. That's really cool. The community, it's cool because like everybody, a lot of the people come from like similar style of background. Like everybody, they're all hungry. Everybody wants to be rich in like the community. They all have like very similar mindsets. I find like a lot of the traders have very similar mindsets. Even, you know, just going on Twitter and seeing people, like they all have the same ideas, same goals, same aspirations. You know, they might have different styles of trading, but they're all in the same category of people that all want to be successful. They want to grow in life. And, you know, when you have a community of like-minded people, things could really pick up really quickly, you know? And trading's a lonely, it's really lonely. It's really lonely. And then so when you have a community of people, you know, all helping each other out, for example, you know, Q and Anthony, right? They probably, you know, helping each other out in trades, or not even helping each other, but just having that community of like-minded people improves your life completely, dramatically, with trading, with outside, with businesses, with starting all these kind of things. And, you know, it could lead to many opportunities having like-minded people around you. So
the other thing that's interesting to me too is like when I think of Q, Anthony, and Jamal, you probably couldn't meet 3 more different human beings if you tried. I mean, there's honestly, they have almost no qualities that are the same. They're all very unique people. They're all successful traders. It's really interesting to me that there isn't like a type. There isn't like, I mean, they certainly have some characters like, hey, yeah, they're grinders or hard workers.
Yeah, hard workers.
They have discipline for sure. But that's going to be true in anything in life, right?
Sure.
But in terms of like, it's not like they're math geniuses or, you know, there's some kind of, there's some kind of like, you know, savant or something. No, it really is about the grind for most of these folks. And but it's interesting because I think people think, oh, you know, it's that 1 in a million person that can do it, or 1 in 1,000, whatever it might be. It's not really true. If I had to, well, it might be that sort of 5 to 10% of people get a payout of everyone who ever buys a challenge. And it's funny. I'm going to dig these numbers up. I bet if you looked at it over a 6 or 9 month period of time, I bet it's more like 60%. 70%, that if anyone who's stuck with it for that long, I bet it's a much higher percentage of people.
It's crazy. When I got into the business, like, you know, I didn't have any success in the beginning of trading myself, you know, and then after that, you know, obviously started seeing some success after some consistency. But when I got into like the prop industry, you know, I thought I was maybe the only one, but it clearly wasn't. It's crazy. There's really a lot of people that are successful, that are truly making money, and like, it's crazy how we could provide them that opportunity to have a full-time salary and, you know, take care of everything they need to take care of. Pretty impressive.
It's the other thing that's been really fun for me, it's actually the first time in my career that I've had full autonomy to make all the decisions that I wanted to, build the culture the way I wanted to, hire the team that I wanted to. And I also had the financial resources to do the things that I knew needed to be done. And we just had our first quarter board meeting yesterday, and we had a good quarter. And so it was just interesting to, you know, because don't get me wrong, like I was fairly confident it would work out well, but you never really know until you actually get there. And building a company culture that where everyone is rowing in the same direction and really has each other's backs, and it makes it so much fun. Like I don't even feel like I have a job, and it's just so. I know you guys are a little bit earlier, you know, in your guys' evolution. How do you think about building a team, and what are you looking for in the people you bring onto your team?
Honestly, I'd never look for like, you know, any sort of degrees or anything like that. I'm looking for like people that are going to be in my personal team, like somebody that we're hiring would be like, you know, just like hard workers, people that have obviously proven themselves. You know, that's always a hard thing to find, is like, you know, people that have proven themselves and like have some sort of a history. It's always tough taking a chance, you know, on certain people when you're at the startup phase. Like we are, we've only been in business for 8 months, right? So it's always tough taking a chance on certain people, when they just, a lot of promises. It's like, oh, I'm telling you I'm good. So, like, it's hard to obviously trust people in the beginning, especially in my stage. We're looking for like hard workers, people that have really proven themselves, have a history of like proving themselves, in development and, websites and customer support. I think customer support is huge. I think people instantly, like as soon as they go on our website, they get an answer. Right. So they have a question, boom, click the chat box, they've got an answer. And I think that's huge. I think that really shows that, we're number one, well-funded. There's a lot of companies that have, 2 guys running the entire thing, or maybe even 1 guy at certain points, and they started their firm with, $10,000, which is more than, 50% of the payouts, that we do. So like it's, it doesn't make too much sense. But when it comes to us, it's like, you could see right away that we're well prepared. We've got the support team there. We're there to help you through whatever it is. And actually I wanted to do an account management. So I don't know if you've ever like seen, but with brokerages, when you sign up at a broker and, you start depositing a certain amount of money, you're going to be assigned a certain account manager. And this guy will take care of you. He will take care of your deposits, your withdrawals. You'll be, so like, let's say you need help with a withdrawal. It's been taking a little bit too long, let's say processing time's 24 hours, but you're like at 28 hours and you're stressing a bit. Text your account manager, say, hey, what's up with my withdrawal? Account manager goes right away, fixes it himself. If you blow your account, there's going to be an account manager there to try to help you, give you the right guidance, give you the right education, point you in the right direction, maybe help you out if you wanted a retry or a discount code to try again, something like that. He could be there to help you and try to like work within your budget while still being sustainable for the firm as well. So I think that's a really cool thing in terms of customer support, having an account manager. I think that's huge.
That's interesting. We're actually, we recently just brought on a couple new people from some of the other firms that went under that were really experienced and skilled on our customer support team. Mm-hmm. And I'm really seeing, even just in a few weeks, it's really improving a lot of our processes. And at the end of the day, you got to become customer centric, right? It's sort of like, I feel like customer support is similar to leadership, right? It's like the only measure of if you're a good leader is if the people that you're leading think you're a good leader. If they think you're a bad leader, you're a bad leader.
Sure.
I think customer support's kind of the same thing. If your customers think you suck, right?
Probably do. Yeah, that's probably a problem.
Yeah. I mean, of course, you're always going to have the squeaky wheel that is never happy about anything, but those are the minority. Most people are pretty reasonable.
Those are definitely the minority. And there is people that get like angry and whatnot. There's, when people like lose their accounts, they're obviously not like ecstatic, but I find it cool how you could just have like an agent that's specific to you that kind of knows you already, that has a relationship built with you where you can go to him and be like, I'm pissed off about this because, I lost my account and whatnot. And after you can, come up with a resolution as opposed to just pushing him off and saying, hey, buy another account.
How do you do that at scale though? Like if,
how do you do that at scale? I think there would be like, you need a lot of people. You would need a lot of people. You would definitely need like a good amount of people, but I think it's worth the investment. I really do. I think it's worth the investment. I think first of all, as a firm, you would definitely retain more customers.
Sure.
I think you could definitely retain more customers, especially if you build something. And also like, an account manager can manage a lot of money. They can manage a lot of accounts. They can manage, they're all used to it. So like, I mean, obviously if I'm going to be hiring for account managers, I'm going to be hiring, from brokerages that already have account managers that know the experience, that know how it works, sometimes like, let's say there's a problem on your website, you can't pay with crypto, the page is not loading, something's not happening. You'll have a guy right away that you could text on WhatsApp and he sends you a QR that you could just boom, scan and send the money to. I don't know. To scale at a large, like really large, we're not obviously at the point that you guys are at. So for us, I think it makes sense for now. And I want it to continue making sense. I would have to just hire a lot of people. But I really do think it's worth the investment. I think that retaining customers, keeping them in your kind of bubble, keeping them in the community. That's what I'm saying. Community is huge, and then people could, I don't know, talk about, oh, my account manager is better than yours and then compete on Discord.
Well, what caused you to decide I know you said you had a trading background, but why did you decide I want to start a prop firm as opposed to a million other things you could have done?
Why a prop firm as opposed to a million other things that I have done, that I could have done? Let's see. Honestly, I really don't know. I mean, I saw the opportunity. It was like, it's like gold rush. Everybody wanted to hop into it. And I started seeing a lot of bad players, which is something I wanted to get into. But I started seeing like a lot of bad players kind of come in, like really sketchy stuff where, they're filming their homepage video like off an iPhone 4. It's like not clear exactly. Everything's blurry. And I was like, okay, there's got to be like some changes in the industry. And I think that we could provide that. And we have a couple different things with us as well that I thought that back then, at least, that we didn't really have too much of. So when I was in trading, we used to have my Forex funds, right? That was the prop firm that kind of went under for whatever reason. And so with them, they used to have a new thing with them was HFT, which was high frequency trading. And then people were just passing accounts left and right. After that, I was trying to think about it. And I was like, hey, there's actually something that could be pretty sustainable by offering HFT. So then now we offer HFT to kind of get that instant funding with, a certain very much more strict set of rules. But yeah, so I saw that as like an opportunity that wasn't really there in the market. Now you kind of see it a little bit everywhere, which I don't really trust too much. But yeah, so I saw that as an opportunity of like, okay, maybe like the instant funding kind of way. Where the challenges are a little bit more expensive, but then you have the capability of actually just going live right away. So I saw that little gap in the market there. I saw a gap in the market with, customer support and like things just taking so long all the time. I saw bad players come into the market, and that was the main thing.
I had a similar experience, and that part of why I chose to join TopTier versus what I was doing was working in a crypto company before, and I was happy there. But what I saw here was I had almost the same exact experience, which is everyone was doing it so badly and oddly all doing it the same. It's like the bar is so low.
Not only the same, but like same website, same everything. Yeah. It's crazy. Bar is very low.
The bar is very low. And I'm like, man, if you really could own and control your own tech and really put a thoughtful product roadmap together and really build an ecosystem that people would, and not everyone's going to stick around and be a trader, for their career, but a lot of people will if you provide the right environment. And I just didn't see it out there. I mean, I would say, it's funny, the ones that were doing it well, I would say FTMO is still probably the one
for sure
left that's, solid reputation. They do a great job, no doubt about it. And quite frankly, the funded trader, until, what happened to them recently, they had a great reputation. I mean, they were, I think that their problem was one of hubris. I think it's funny, as the more successful we've gotten to TopTier, the more paranoid I become. I go the opposite way. I'm looking for my blind spot. What am I missing?
Yeah.
What, and obviously, the industry, man, I thought crypto was crazy. This makes crypto look stable.
Exactly.
I think, regulators are going to start looking at the industry. And so you've got to be prepared for that. Now, you guys are exclusively outside the U.S., right?
Yeah, we are outside the U.S. We don't serve U.S. currently. We don't.
Any plans to do that down the road, or?
Yeah, there's probably plans of doing that down the road. I think that TradeLocker is the best platform for that, and we haven't had TradeLocker integrated yet. So, but once we do, we'd definitely offer to the U.S. It's hard because the other platforms, I don't really like them too much, and we didn't know at the beginning. When everybody left MetaQuotes, and like we're still with MetaTrader 4, but when everybody left MetaQuotes, we were obviously looking for backup options, and we still have backup options that we can migrate in 2 seconds. But I saw these platforms, and it was like we wanted to kind of rush and try to get into one of these other platforms, such as DX Trade, Match Trader, all these kind of things. But then now we're seeing that people don't like those platforms.
Right.
People like TradeLocker and MQC Trader maybe. Like they don't like all these platforms. So I'm kind of glad that I didn't really jump into anything in the beginning, even though we have our backup, which is DX. And I don't particularly love DX. I think that it's got scaling issues. I think that at large scale, it's probably not going to be the most sustainable thing, the best thing. But yeah, I definitely like TradeLocker, and I know you guys only have TradeLocker, right? You guys
just TradeLocker because we can use it both in the U.S. and
that's right. It's also an insane platform.
I think TradeLocker is because you look at MetaQuotes and MetaTrader, it looks like it was written in the 90s because it was written in the 90s.
Yeah, and people are comfortable with it. That's the
Exactly.
only thing. People are comfortable with it. They're used to it. Like
it's like a Bloomberg terminal. It's like
100%. Yeah, I know, but it's like I don't know. People, it's just people are comfortable with it. So like honestly, like most of the people, you know, our customers that come to us, it's just like a lot of them is just, you know, we have MetaTrader, so then they're like, okay, it's something I'm comfortable with. It's something I can relate to. Boom, it's done. You know.
It's part of the reason why I think that to have a long-term sustainable business, you've got to have a feeder system, which is what we're trying to do at Top Tier Academy, because ultimately we want to bring new people into the market, because I think those are the people that are going to not only allow but support the change that the industry needs. We need the customers to be more demanding, to expect more
100%.
from their companies, because I mean, it really is a shame. Like you were talking the news example that you were talking about. I mean, the fact that I can get, I mean, and this is how we do it now too, because it's hard to do it any other way. Is people are finding out that they violated some rule when they were requesting a payout.
Right.
And, oh, you violated that rule 5 weeks ago, and you're like, that doesn't make sense. Customer experience. So one of the things we're doing is one of the first things I did when I came to Top Tier is I had a guy that I worked with before build me a data warehouse, which allows us to, you know, automate pretty much anything related to the data. So we're maybe a month away, maybe sooner, where what we're going to try to do is automate all of the rule checks every single day, so that worst case you'll be notified next day that something was in, you know, a trade was invalidated, and maybe and a link to a video about why it was invalidated and how to avoid that in the future.
That's huge.
Trying to be helpful. And so now you're getting it next day. Now what I want to do is real time, like you were saying. Don't even let me place the trade.
Right.
Hey, and by the way, maybe ask me if I want to upgrade my account to add news trading for an extra $30 or something like that. Creates revenue for us, creates a better experience for the customer. That's where it needs to get to, but you know, that's going to take a minute.
And it's crazy because we have the technology in order to do it, just in different parts of things. Like we're able to, you know, disable somebody's trades where they can't click on the button. It's just having that automated and the technology and the infrastructure to actually, as soon as somebody clicks, they wouldn't be allowed. Maybe a pop-up would show up on their dashboard, you know, upgrade. That's what, you know, really good ideas. It's definitely
we're actually about to offer an upgrade feature to allow someone to upgrade. So you bought a 10K account, and now you know you have 3 winning trades in a row. And you're like, man, I wish I bought a 100K account, and allow you to upgrade your account at a bit of a premium. But we're still doing some modeling on the pricing to figure all that out.
And then so would your profit that you've made on the 10K account, it would move up?
Yeah, so if I'm at 35% towards my profit target, I'd let you move that from the 10K to the 100K.
Beautiful.
You know, the issue is we're trying to figure out what's the right break point. You know, maybe up to 40%. Maybe only in phase 1
of up to 40% of the profit.
That so I can't get to 99% of my profit target and then upgrade your account.
Yeah, that would be crazy. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but you know, trying to figure out the right thresholds.
That's really huge. Okay. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people would like that, because some people are scared to get in. You know, like some people will be like, you know, I don't know if I could pass it, so let me only buy a 10K account.
Right.
But when you're almost there, you're 50% the way there. Chances are is that you're going to go all the way up to the 100% and actually pass the challenge. So an upgrade feature would be huge.
Yeah, we'll see. It's like those are the kind of things, like, you know, you want to test them small, see how they work, look at the data. I always joke. I mean, I try to be really data driven. You know, as an organization, we try to be really data driven in all of our decision making. Everyone says they want to be data driven until the data tells them something they don't like.
Yeah, and
then they want to go with their gut.
Let's ignore it. Let's just shut down. Yeah.
Well, so what's the end game for you guys? Like, where do you when you think about? I know you're still relatively young and not an old guy like me, but like, what's the end game? 3 years, 5 years? You know, are you looking to build it up and have an exit to a brokerage firm? Like, what do you, when you think about it?
To be honest, what I want to do is that I want to be able to get the right data from the right traders and have, you know, a certain amount of assets under management where we can actually trade and get consistent returns on it. That's what I want to do. I want to get good traders that will come on and we'll be able to copy their trades, you know, actually put real funds behind them and actually create, you know, a huge brand with a lot of assets under management and just copy those trades and have that opportunity. And, you know, as soon as, like, you know, orders are actually like STP, you know, like real orders going to market, there's a lot of things that you can actually do with these orders and with this data. You know, you could sell it to a lot of funds. You could just sell order flow. You know, there's different ways to monetize order flow in general for trading. You know, selling it to big firms, and even just doing it yourself. You know, like copy trading that. Like we've seen some good traders that like after their first month of payouts, we're like, all right, he's on a book, done. Like we put him with real funds. Let's put him with real funds. Let's even double his account balance and let's put him with real funds. It's worth the risk. The guy's consistently trading. Let's do it. You know, so obviously it's not for every case that we can do that.
Right.
But yeah, if we're able to get a community where people are actually going to be like really good at what they do, the data is so valuable. You know, so that's really what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to build like a big business. I don't want to build a small little thing. I never do anything small. Anything I do is extreme. You know, if I'm drinking like a coffee, I'll have 7 a day. You know, like it's just everything I'll do is extreme. Makes no sense sometimes, but I just want to go extreme to have like these huge goals that I want to get to. And so I really want to do that. I want to build something long, sustainable. I want to get into like all the technology space of it. You know, kind of handle all of that sort of stuff. I want to make a higher barrier of entry for new prop firms that want to come in. And let's say we wanted to have our own technology, right? I want to make a barrier of entry that's going to be tough. I don't want you to come in to this firm and have $10,000 and try to make a payout. And like, you know, so I think that's a huge problem. I think that a problem stems from the technology providers with the unsustainability of the industry. I really think it does. So having our own technology, we'd be able to offer, you know, that to other firms, right? And people that want to open different sorts of firms and just have a barrier of entry. And it's not even only a barrier of entry for money. It would be a barrier of entry for the kind of person, the kind of history that they have. Like, you know, do they have a history of just scamming people? Then I don't want them. I don't want that business. I don't want nothing to do with them. But if they have, you know, a history of actually being a good person and like, you know, doing things the right way, because a lot of influencers, you know, start firms, obviously, right? So you look at their history, you see what they're like. Do they have enough capital to actually sustain the firm? Would they have enough capital to actually recognize a good trader and book him? Because I think that's huge. And so, yeah, that's my end goal for everything. You know,
yeah. I think the barrier to entry thing is interesting. I think regulations. Back when I was in the crypto space, I worked for a crypto ATM business, and the barriers to entry there were quite significant. You need money transfer licenses in like 30 of the 50 states. Sure. Even opening, like when we were trying to expand into Canada, it was like an act of God to get a bank account that would even work with us. Took 2 years to even open a Canadian bank account that would even let us do crypto stuff. So that barrier to entry, what it did do though is it kept a lot of the bad actors out of the space.
100%.
And I think our space needs that, which is, you know, even basic things like proof of reserves, you know,
huge.
Where like, hey, you know, you need to always have, you know, 3 times or 2 times the total of your last 3 months of payouts, you know, in a bank account, verified on the blockchain or something like that.
I think that's huge. I think we wanted to actually implement that onto our website, like have our reserves. So we keep like whatever it is, we keep 40% reserves for 3 months at a time. And if there's anything left over, we would obviously withdraw it and have to refill the reserves and constantly, you know, have a refill of reserves, you know. But having that blockchain, which is so cool, you know, just having your address, people could see how much reserves you have, you know. Taking that, I think it's huge. I think that's great. I mean, just showing that to the customers, you know, sometimes if it's too much money, you probably don't want to show anything to the customers, but yeah, having reserves, proving that you have reserves is going to be huge. When regulators come in, I think there's going to be, the barrier of entry is going to be, it's going to be tight. It's going to be really tight to try to get in. You know, regulators, we talked about this, but regulators, they will, they might take it too far.
Right.
They might take it too far. I mean, I know Canada, they open a bank account, as soon as anything is related to crypto, they won't want anything to do with you, you know? So, but sometimes they take it a little bit too far, which I don't really want either. But eventually it'll come back and it'll kind of balance out in the middle. And, you know, you'll have something where not anybody could just start up a firm and not show their face.
Right.
I think that's another huge thing. I'm like, people are spending money with some of these firms and like, you don't even know who's behind this firm. You just don't know. And it's honestly now rare to see. Like, I see so many firms that you have no idea what's behind it, who's behind it. Like, you just don't know. And a lot of the times, even some of these firms just have an influencer, like, as just a pretty face in the front of it. Like, they don't do anything in the back end. They don't take care of anything. They don't do any payouts, nothing like that. They don't know what's going on. And then they end up getting screwed over, like SFT or whatever.
I don't know if there's another industry that has less people on LinkedIn than our industry. It's so funny because I'll find a new firm that popped up or something like that. So I'll go to LinkedIn and
impossible to find.
It's like
impossible.
Okay, I have no idea who,
because if they did have
where
a LinkedIn,
they are, who they are, nothing.
Let's think about it. If they did have a LinkedIn, that's another thing, is that a lot of people come in with no experience whatsoever in any field. They have no experience in any field. A lot of these people, you have experience in multiple businesses and multiple things forever and ever, So a lot of people come in and they have no experience. What are they going to put on LinkedIn?
Right.
I left high school and I started trading. No, but seriously, what are they going to put in? They have no experience running anything, no experience running a firm, no experience running any companies, any management, any employees, none of that. And we see that lack of experience, which is something I wanted to get into, is these firms shutting down. You see that lack of experience. I see right through it. I could tell right away that issues with TFT that happened and whatnot in all their firms, it's a lack of experience. They had no experience on how to actually run a business in a sustainable model. Some people were too busy.
Well, it's funny. It seems like it's our industry, but I think it has more to do with anything that whenever you have something that can become profitable as quickly as a prop firm can, it will naturally attract people that are opportunists. But the part that's interesting, and you see this in banking, you see it in crypto, the big firms like FTX and the little guys, a lot of the smaller ones, maybe not super tiny, but like a Voyager or a Celsius but on the banking side too, you got everything from Bear Stearns and Silicon Valley Bank all the way down to small regional banks failing, right? And so you got big guys failing, you got little guys failing. It does seem like the ones in the middle seem to be the ones that are the stablest in a weird way.
Well, if you look at it's crazy, but in terms of sustainability, if you look at some of these medium firms, they're pretty sustainable. It's just when it gets to a certain point where people start burning through reserves and then they start burning through a lot of things, they get too high, or when they're too low, their revenue is just too low that they can't just sustain the good traders that are with them. There's an issue that happens, So I guess that's kind of what it is. It's you go too high, then you want to start buying yachts, and then after that you get too low, but you can't sustain the payouts that are coming in because the revenue is not high enough. So it is true though that medium-ish category, I do see more props
I think it comes down to the fact that you got to do your homework, right? If you're gonna make an investment in a prop firm, do your homework. Look at the Discord community. That's quite frankly one of the best places. I mean, when you've looked at the Funded Trader, that's where you saw the end coming the fastest, is just what the Discord community was saying, and ultimately, it's easy to get fooled. Like in FTX, a lot of people lost a lot of money from FTX, and no one thought they were gonna, same with Silicon Valley Bank. No one, Bear Stearns, your Jim Cramer 5 days before they went under saying only an idiot would take their money out of Bear Stearns, right, and no, only an idiot would leave their money in Bear Stearns.
Exactly. Seems
but it really just comes down to the fact that no one's gonna care more about your money than you. So you've got to be a good fiduciary of your own funds,
100%.
And do your homework and look at who's running the business.
Yep.
Do they have your best interest in mind? Do they act like they have your best interest in mind?
100%.
Does the community talk about it like, hey, these guys actually care? Hey, look, we make mistakes, no doubt about it. One of the things we decided to do, because I got a lot of negative feedback from the community, we had changed some of our rules, against some of the gambling behaviors. And what people were upset about was the fact, well, I purchased the account. I wouldn't have purchased the account if I knew you were going to have that rule. And that's not fair that you changed that rule. And I'm like, you're absolutely right. I said, you email me personally and I will get you a refund, no problem. think I had like 15 people email me. No problem. Happy to give you your money back. And then I made a commitment to the community. I said, look, I'm telling you straight up, we over time are going to change our rules. And I'll tell you why we're going to change. We're going to change them when we find new things people are doing to cheat or new things to do that would never work in market conditions. Some of the things you were talking about, even like where they've got accounts in two different firms and they're just trading against each other. I think creating some kind of clearinghouse could make a lot of sense for our industry.
For sure.
It's something we're putting some energy into thinking about how we might do that.
Definitely.
Facilitate that. But we're going to change those rules. But my commitment was we will give you a month's notice before we change any rule. And we're going to remind you throughout the month that we're going to change this rule. And the rule will go into effect on the first of the month.
That's huge.
And that way, because I get that, right? It's like, it's the same reason that you don't want to get notified when you request your payout that you violated something a bunch of weeks ago. You know, no one wants to have that experience. Exactly. And again, my thing is I'm trying to think long-term, do right by the customer, you know, short-term, medium-term, and long-term, and they'll do right by you.
100%. Like improve the journey of a customer. I totally agree.
So good.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Okay. Why do you think that these firms, like this is the hot question, why do you think that these firms actually went under?
So I think that as a general rule, you said it a little bit earlier, the smaller ones go under because they don't have capital. They don't have enough capital, right? And they're generally very inexperienced. I think the bigger ones, they go under because they either become lazy, arrogant, or both. And you know, it's like I said, it's why I try to go the opposite way. The better we do, the more paranoid I am. Okay, what's the when's the regulation coming? How are we going to manage that? Hey, we just run in a huge influx of new customers. You know, what does that make our payouts look like 6 weeks down the road? And how can we better estimate that and make sure that, you know, we're where we need to be? Those are the things that I think well-run companies do. And because the reality is, and I only know this because I picked up a bunch of people from the funded trader, some of their best people. Again, I feel bad for that. I don't celebrate any of my competitors going under. It's not good for the industry. But one of the happy unintended consequences of that was I got some really talented people that already know the business. Normally when I hire someone, it's going to take them 3 to 6 months to understand the space. And yeah, they can contribute, but not as much as once they're up the curve. These people, I brought them in, they hit the ground running and made an impact day one.
Yeah, you made the right decision.
Yeah, and so I know for a fact, because they're on my team now, the funded trader had some really good people, really talented, that knew what they were doing. But if leadership's not listening to them, and you know, it's funny, early in my career, I remember I was recruiting this team, there's these 3 ladies, and they were basically the operational team of the biggest company in the industry. And I was trying to recruit them away, and we were the smallest. We were a brand new startup. And I said, look, you know, you can, and the guy who was the CEO was sort of a notorious jerk. Oh. And I said, look, you can continue to work for him and do what he says, or you can come here and tell me what to do. And they did.
Really?
And even though this, in fact, her name was Sharon, she was technically reported to me, but I basically reported to her. She was, my leadership style came from her. Owe her a huge debt of gratitude. But it was, you know, it's having the humility. In fact, it's funny. It's one of our core internal values is humility. It's the most important. I will not hire someone who I don't believe is humble, and I have fired people for lack of humility alone. Like that one characteristic. You can't be condescending to people on the team. It's just not a thing. And don't get me wrong. Like I want people that are confident and they have ideas, but I like people that have strong opinions loosely held.
Sure.
You know, like I have strong opinions, you know, absolutely. I'm the easiest person to persuade I'm wrong. Tell me what premise I have that's inaccurate, or what piece of data I'm not looking at right. Well, and you can persuade me like that, then I'm not looking at it right.
But some people have too much pride that they want.
Yeah. And look, you've got to do it from the top down, right? There's nothing I ask someone to do on my team I won't do. I'm doing spreadsheets and PowerPoints, and like people like, oh, you know, I want to be CEO one day. I'm like, you know, maybe think that one through. Yeah. You know, Elon Musk talks about it. You know, of course, Elon Musk, he's not even human, I don't think. But probably in a simulation anyway. But he's like the CEO. You get to do the thing that no one else wants to do, and it's the thing no one knows how to solve. So you get the hardest problems that no one wants to solve. that's mostly your day to day when you're 100%. The CEO. And it sounds great, but I think when you do it right, you are serving the people that you lead. And it's funny that I have a really good guy that runs my marketing team, young though, 25, and I was like, look, you got to understand, at least 30 to 40% of your job is therapist, right? And you have to understand the psychology of the people that are working for you. Understand the lens they see you through, the lens they see the world through, in order for you to be able to help them perform and do the things that need to get done. People talk about, you need to be analytical, and you need to be this, you need to be that. You need to know how to persuade, okay? And yeah, you can pound the desk and tell people what to do. That's a short-term strategy. Yeah. You want to have people excited long-term. They have to feel like they're part of the process. You have to make them part of the field. They have to be part of the process, and they have to feel that their opinions are always listened to. And it doesn't mean I take everyone's opinion in. What I try to do, I don't always accomplish this, but I try to talk last. So in a perfect world, I want the least expensive. I think Jeff Bezos said this: have the least experienced person talk first, and then go in order of experience, because that person who's brand new might have the best idea, but if the CEO or their boss, the chief marketing officer or something, says something first and it's different than what they were thinking, they're going to shut up and not say anything. Mm-hmm. Like, well, what do I know? I'm the new person. It's funny. There's, as I was mentioning, picking up some of the people from the Funded Trader, that they came up the curve really quick, and that's true. But there's also real value in people that don't know the business at all. Like, one of the things I think I brought to TopTier was, because I didn't come from the industry, it's like, well, that's how we always did it. Well, I'm not from the industry. I don't know how things were done. So I think there's value oftentimes. People talk about they want diversity. I want diversity of thought, diversity of opinion. That to me is super 100%. Valuable. I don't care about the color of your skin. The most competent person is what I want, but I want diversity of thinking, because that's what gets you the best result. And ultimately, in fact, we were going through a marketing idea with my head of marketing yesterday. And so he's presenting this idea to me. I said, well, let me play devil's advocate for a second. And I just pushed back really gently on it. And I said, look, I could be totally wrong. Like, argue your point. And at the end of the day, we came to a mutual understanding of what the right path forward was. And it was just so nice to have that process be useful for both of us. Mm-hmm. It helped me understand the lens he saw the world through, and his marketing idea. He was able to see mine, and we came to a better decision than either of us would have made on our own. But that requires a certain level of humility and openness to be able to have that conversation.
A lot of like CEOs and bosses, it's like people are almost scared of them, but that does not work, because they're probably just cocky assholes at the end of the day, right? They don't want to listen to anybody. They think they're lower than them and whatnot. But realistically, at least for me, I get told what to do more from my team than I tell them what to do. That's
a good CEO.
they tell me what to do all the time, and I'm totally open to hearing them. Like, I'm constantly on the phone with chief marketing, and he's always telling me like, no, I don't think we should do that, and I'm like, no, well, I think we should, and then we argue back and forth, and 80% of the time he's right, because that's his position that I hired him for, is marketing. And I don't know too much about marketing, but, it's just coming over that and having, exactly as you said, enough humility to actually be like, okay, I hired this guy for a reason. He knows this better than me, or else I probably wouldn't have hired him. Right. So then just having that and being like, okay, you know what? Let's go with your decision and let's figure that one out, or let's put our brains together and come up with something in the middle, Well,
Sebastian, as we wrap up here, any kind of parting thoughts or final things you want to plug your company or?
Yeah, sure. SureLeverageFunding.com. We have a lot of challenges. That's one thing you'll definitely notice about us. We have a lot of challenges. We got HFT, 2-step, 1-step, and certain challenges with consistency and without consistency rules. So we kind of have a mix of everything, trying to get everything together.
Well, look, it's been a real pleasure, and we'll continue to look. I think it's there should be more of this. There should be more collaboration, and there's so much opportunity out there. Frankly, mostly because most of the players aren't doing it in a thoughtful and sophisticated way. So I think that the few that are need to be supportive of each other and try to
100%.
Some of the parts is greater than the whole, or whatever they say. By the way, I really appreciate your time.
100%, man. Thank
care.
you.
Yeah, absolutely.